I understand that at this juncture we have Shailendra Kumar, who is joining us right now. That's the director at Narnolia Financial Advisors. Thank you very much for speaking to us right here on Markets Midday on Business Television India. How are you looking at the markets as they are poised at the moment?
For the last 3 months almost, market has traded very narrow. And as we have progressed, so over last a week, if you look at, market is trading just in a 200 points range for Nifty. Now that tells you the kind of a kind of bull and bear balance which is there in the market. Exactly the direction breakout will take next week, hopefully once the budget is out and RBI credit policy comes. So till then the market will be most probably will remain in this narrow band of say 10,800, 11,000 kind of levels, waiting for clarity more on the budget and the RBI credit policy on 7th.
Right. Just very quickly before we go forward, we're just getting some news that the CBI is raiding DLF offices in Delhi and Gurgaon at this stage. We are in fact trying to connect with one of our correspondents who is in Delhi at the moment. Remember, we have, of course, heard from the DLF spokesperson as well. That is the latest that we have right now. I'm wondering if we can actually go to my colleague Chetan, who is joining us on the phone line right now. Chetan, what exactly is happening at the moment and what is the significance of these developments?
Our sources are pointing out at this time is the fact that the CBI teams visited Delhi and Gurgaon offices today with respect to a land acquisition case that has been going on for a very long time. Speaking, the DLF spokesperson in fact has come out and issued a statement saying that they're fully cooperating with the concerned authorities and are completely confident of coming out victorious, and of course they haven't done anything wrong. So what does this case pertains to? This case pertains to a minor land acquisition case in Gurgaon. And it was a case which was ordered by the Supreme Court for the CBI to investigate the matter. And remember, this is also related to the Skylark Hospitality land scam case. Well, the Apex Court verdict came on a plea related to a land acquisition by the Haryana government on acquiring land measuring 912 acres from 3 villages nearby Manesar in Gurgaon. On February 2006, 224 acres of land was released from acquisition of the government. While reporting that there have been several issues with respect to transfer of land. As of now, we are getting this information that yes, CBI teams are at DLF offices in Delhi and Gurgaon, and we can expect some developments in an official statement by the CBI towards the afternoon.
Thanks for taking us through all of that. We'll, of course, continue to update our viewers with the latest developments right there. Let's talk about the big story that we've been tracking right here. We at Business Television India got it first to our viewers on the CBI converting prelim inquiries to FIRs in the ICICI Bank investigations. In our continuing coverage of this development, Business Television India now learns that the board of the ICICI Bank is set to meet on the 30th of January to take stock of the situation going forward and also to decide its course of action. The person, of course, who broke the initial stories as well as the one who's tracking this is Karishma. She's standing by with the latest developments on this. Karishma, what exactly is the latest, most significant development? And also the big question here is, does the ICICI Bank board have its tasks cut out?
Well, Fatima, directly moving on to your question that if the ICICI Bank board has its task cut out, well, you know, the board is likely to meet on 30th, and that's the day when they'll be discussing this matter significantly. In fact, it's a procedural meet, but the board will, of course, be taking up this matter. My sources also tell me that board is likely to conduct fresh audits to ascertain procedural, lapses in loan sanctions to Videocon Group. Like we know, the prelim inquiry has finally been converted into FIR and goes further. Procedural summons will also take place, followed by various searches and investigation. Well, for now, of course, the board will be meeting on Jan 30th, that is end of this month. The board will also be discussing on the role of other such directors who've been mentioned in the FIR. Well, interestingly, you see the pool of people that have been mentioned, the big names like that of KV Kamath, Sanjoy Chatterjee, NS Kannan, and of course the present MD and CEO, that is Sandeep Bakshi, is also under scanner. According to the report, they were all a part of the sanctioning committee who had sanctioned a loan of about more than than 1,500 crore to that of Videocon, which have turned into, of course, NPAs now. Well, interestingly, parallelly, you should also note this, that, the Justice Shri Krishna report is also set to come out by the end of this month. In fact, the report has been under preparation for past more than 10 months, and sources close to the bank and also sources close to the investigation tell me that the contents of the report are different from what the investigation is focusing on, and hence there should not be any bothering on that. But it's going to be interesting on what are going to be the findings of the report and tallying that with what the CBI will be investigating further, but also bringing it to our viewers that, of course, ICICI has not heard anything from the RBI or SEBI in this matter, and the board is, of course, will be an opportunity to come out with a solution on this.
Thanks for taking us through all of that. Of course, this comes at a time when one is really questioning even the formation of the board as well as some other governance issues at the bank. Thanks for that, Karishma. We also had a conversation about all of this to a banking analyst, Shailendra Hazari, to really understand what the latest developments could really mean for an ICICI bank. And he's also looking at perhaps the credibility of the board itself. Listen in to what he has to say.
Once the Central Bureau of Investigation has decided to file a first information report, that means there is some evidence out there which needs to be criminally investigated. Now, in such a case, the credibility of the board of ICICI Bank, and particularly its earlier chairman of the board, really comes under a huge question mark, because this is a board which refused to do any investigation worth the name. Its main urgency was to try to clear Chanda Kocher's name. It put the individual above the bank. And now you see the result. And what is worse today is that, the Central Bureau of Investigation has decided to probe the then entire senior management of ICICI Bank.
Shailendra Hazari really does raise some very significant questions when it comes to how things are being handled right there. We'll, of course, track the latest developments and get them to you right here on Business Television India. I just want to also focus on what's been happening in the earnings front. A weak Q3 is being seen from Maruti as lower volumes drag earnings. Profit is actually expected to fall on lower volumes on disappointing sales from the festive season. The person who, of course, is going to be looking out for the story behind the numbers is Piyush. He's joining us now with the expectations from Maruti. Piyush, what are the reasons behind the underperformance that is expected for a Maruti?
Let's first talk about the headline numbers and we'll go into the details here. So revenue growth of 3%, profit again a degrowth. Profit is expected to again fall by 3%. Margins are expected to again dip by 200 basis points. But again, why this sort of fall in the margins? So let's first talk about the moving parts in the third quarter. Number one, again, we were actually seeing higher fuel price, higher insurance cost, then also higher inventory again with the dealers, and that led to higher discounting again. So, and also the most important, liquidity issues with the NBFCs. So that also again created its own part in terms of slowdown in the sales here. So altogether, it was a tough third quarter, and that's why again a degrowth in volumes, roughly 0.6% degrowth in volumes. So that's a public number now. It's again the volumes are known by the market, but what the market now needs to know. Can there be a realization surprise here? A 3% realization growth is expected by the market. Now this growth is primarily driven by sort of product mix here. So you actually were seeing good sales by Baleno again. Brezza also actually was doing good. And then again Desire actually has already taken over Alto again in terms of last few months. So higher priced vehicles selling more led to realization growth. Lastly again what the street is going to work with, and that actually it wants more commentary around the trends of fourth quarter, inventory situation, discounting trends, and most important, how again is Tier 3 rural India shaping up at present.
Thanks for taking us through all of that, Piyush. Really sort of outlining what exactly are going to be the key pressure points that it comes that are going to really play out on those margins for a Maruti right there. Shailendra, any views you have on earnings so far, as well as what you think a key strategy should be when one is looking at the auto sector?
Yeah. So we have less than 1/4 of Nifty company coming out with result till date. So it's too early to give a complete commentary on what the Q3 is going on. But whatever number has come, surely IT is one sector where the number had been above expectation. Particularly the larger name like Infi has come out with an excellent number. Cement, you are seeing volume growth. Price uptick is not much. Margin is still under a little bit of pressure. Auto, surely, as everyone is expecting, the number would be very subdued this quarter. as Maruti we were just talking on. So a surprising is because of commodity prices fall, there could have been usually some kind of EBITDA margin gain, but higher discounting is killing the gain there also. So some sectors surely showing a stress this quarter as well, and some pockets like IT, even Reliance came out with a good set of numbers. So there are some clear winner and loser in this result season till date.
All right, I'm going to ask you to hold on to those thoughts because we also need to pay attention to the capital good space where L&T is set to declare a stable set of third quarter numbers with profits expected to stay flat, but margins are expected to rise to 11%. I just want to tell you a little bit more in terms of the estimates that we're looking out for, because overall it's a stable quarter that is being predicted for an L&T. We are looking at a preview which basically says that the PAT is going to be seen at about 1,677 crores versus 1,683, as well as what we're going to be looking out for majorly are going to be the commentary on the net working capital trend, of course, versus what we're looking at in terms of sales and the order pipeline visibility and inflow commentary. I just want to go to Shailendra on this. Shailendra, your views, I mean, I'm not sure if you're going to specifically talk to me about an L&T, but really when it comes to this particular sector, is there some advice you have for investors?
See, this sector is dependent upon the investment capex happening in the economy. Say L&T, the large size of L&T is dependent completely upon how India as an economy is doing in terms of infra capex as well as private capex. We know for the last 4 or 5 years, this infra spending and the private capex has hardly seen much of a growth, and so L&T also has suffered along with the overall sector. Having said that, there are some green shoots over the last 2-3 months, which suggest that the infra spending might be picking up gradually. A company like L&T has cleared its balance sheet a lot over the last 3 years. They are very focused on raising the ROE in a structural sense. Look at the margin also. The margin has fallen below 10%, say 2 years back. Now we are talking about 11.5%. So companies specific in this sector has improved their balance sheet and operating business a lot in the between. So any kind of a growth in terms of overall infra spending environment will be very positive for stock, L&T as well as the sector.
All right, I'm going to ask you to hold on to those thoughts and come back to you for more advice in terms of the stocks that are moving in the markets. But I just want to also alert our viewers to the fact that there seems to be no Friday cheer that's coming in for Linde India. The stock, in fact, pull that up for our viewers right there. Look at that. In fact, it fall over 16% as the company's promoters did reject the discovered price of 2,025 rupees per share for delisting. The person who's tracking all of this is Abhishek. He's joining me right here with more details on this. Abhishek, look at what's happening with that stock at the moment. What exactly is playing out there?
Well, as far as Linde India is concerned, well, this stock is in focus in back of the kind of volatility that the stock is exhibiting in terms of its stock price movement. As was rightly highlighted up front, while the stock is down 15% in the last 1 month, if you look at the kind of up move that the stock has clocked in the past 3 months, is to the tune of 46%. So this is the kind of diversity you're seeing when it comes to the stock price moves as far as Linde India is concerned. And clearly all of the developments that is driving the stock price in either direction is a development on the delisting front. Remember, Linde India promoter, that is BOC group, wanted to delist Linde India, and if you look at the latest development on that, well, the delisting bid has failed. In fact, promoter BOC group has rejected the discovered price, which was to the tune of 2,025 rupees per share for companies delisting. In fact, the acquiring entities are now looking to launch an open offer again after the public announcement, which is likely to come today. And to just take you through the further details of around the delisting, on the delisting front. In fact, if you look at Linde India, well, this was the first company to attempt a delisting under the new SEBI delisting guidelines by SEBI. And what the new guidelines said, well, as per the new guidelines, the new guidelines looks at using the reverse book building process, and we are referring to it as the RBB. And as part of the reverse book building process, the non-promoter shareholders bid for the price, and as a result the discovered price is reached, and that was to the tune of 2,025 rupees per share, which is 3 times yesterday's close, which was around 700 rupees, and hence it got rejected. And the new guidelines also sort of entails that the promoter group should has to have a say, and unless approved by the promoter, the delisting cannot go through, and that is what happened as the discovered price was rejected. In fact, the guidelines also allows for the promoter group to have a counter offer in place, and in fact in this case we don't really know if any counter offer was made, if at all, by the BOC group. And remember, the objective of making the delisting offer by the BOC group was to obtain full ownership, wherein they own 75% and they want to acquire the remainder 25% of the paid up capital, and that is what is really, not working in favor of Linde India as far as the stock price is concerned.
Yeah, it's really taking quite a beating there, and you can see that playing out. Thanks for taking us through all of that interesting story that we're tracking right here on Markets Midday right there. Let's talk about another scenario altogether, which is the Friday bringing no blockbuster moves for media stocks. Take a look at what those guys are up to at the moment. You have a Dish TV, a Z Entertainment leading the losses with deep cuts right there. These are over, well, they were earlier over 3%. Dish TV, in fact, falling over 6%. I also want to pull up a Network 18 for our viewers. PVR, TV Today, all really in the red. Z Media, one of the outliers with gains, in fact, of over 2%. We also had a conversation with the management of Z Media after they released a strong set of third quarter numbers. Listen to what they had to say.
I think the investments over the next 3 to 6 months will be driven largely by election and election-related programming, because general elections are usually big business and big, both top line and bottom line goes up when general elections come in. But in the year to come, clearly the focus is on investments in hyperlocal channel and building some of our existing channels to profitability.
Thanks for taking us through all of that. In fact, I just want to also talk to Shailendra, if you're still with us there. Shailendra, any observations you have when it comes to the media stocks that we've been tracking right here, and any kind of recommendations you have in this space?
See, media as such is doing relatively better than what they were doing, say, a year back. Print media, you look at the DB Corp result also day before yesterday, I think was quite a good number. Both the company, G Media and G Entertainment, has come out with very good set of number. From here, what is going to play out in the media is, you can divide the media into broadcaster and secondly as the content creator. Now the content creation, because of huge amount of interest from the IT converging to the media, that is going to play out a big time going forward. So all these companies where the large amount of content stage or exist, the whole valuation thesis of those companies will be, seeing a re-rating going forward. The only issue is, right now we don't have too many pure content companies, so they're all mixed companies. But as the G has announced some kind of a part stake in some companies, so this sector surely is a very good, interesting area to look at in terms of stock picking for the next 3-4 years. There will be good amount of re-rating in the sector for sure.
Thank you for your insights. Such a pleasure having you right here on Markets Midday. That, in fact, was Shailendra Kumar, who's director at Narnolia Financial Advisors, joining us on the show here. Just want to also pull up a stock that we've been observing in terms of how it is trajecting at the moment. I want to